You can crop part of the image that you don't want to show in the final output, but better than that, Adobe Photoshop 6 has actually re-engineered the crop tool so it's more powerful and more flexible than ever before. So let's take a closer look. Here's an image. I want to crop out the background and really focus more on this boat. So I'm going to use the crop tool, and I have the bounding box already available, and I can even use that to just start resizing. What I have right away is this grid that shows up, and the grid is based on a certain view. There's a default here, rule of thirds, so it makes it easy for me to position things and figure out where the center is and how things are lined up. I can even go in and change the grid if that's helpful for the particular image I'm working on. I'll go back here to that rule of thirds. And I can position this information. Now what's different here in this version is I'm actually moving the content rather than the crop bounding box. So it's making it easier for me to position it. I can also rotate if I want to. And again, I'm rotating the content rather than the bounding box, so it's more intuitive, easy for me to make decisions. Once I have the crop the way I like it, and I've decided the way I like it, I can either press Enter or click on the Commit button, and it commits that crop in place. I'm going to go ahead and switch to the Move tool, and there's my crop. And I'm going to go ahead and actually revert this, and we're going to try this one more time with just a little extra feature that we have. And this is the feature where it says delete crop pixels. So this is the legacy way of doing this, so that as soon as I crop information, it's automatically deleted. But if we uncheck this, it's going to become a non-destructive crop, which means that I can go back and review those pixels even after I've cropped the information. The crop is behaving more like a frame than actually scissors cropping it. I'll go ahead and press Enter, and it crops the information. Switch to the Move tool. Instead of being a background layer, now it's actually been converted into an image layer called Layer 0. And I can still move my pixels around because they're still part of the image. I've simply cropped them out. If I were to export this out to, let's say, a JPEG, I'm going to cut all that information. Now I can go into my image menu and I can reveal all, and I can actually see all those pixels that were originally there. When I go back to my crop tool here, I'm noticing the crop is unconstrained, which means I can pretty much make any type of size I want, and I'll just press Escape, which is the same as using the cancel. But I could also constrain the crop area, and I can pick a ratio. This is a lot more intuitive than what we had before. We had to really focus on the numbers that we wanted. But I can go ahead and pick a ratio, and for example, a 1:1 square. And now when I'm cropping, it's going to conform to that ratio. And I don't have to worry about having to hold down my Shift key or anything like that to create the perfect size that I want. I'll go ahead and escape out of this. I could also just put in my own. So I could put in 1:1 here, or just choose size and resolution. Now size and resolution is great when you have a lot of pixels and you want to zoom it down a little bit. For example, you're going to a web-based image and you want to put something that's going to fit into your web scenario. And I'm going to set it up, let's say 600 pixels. A lot of times your web pages have that size, but I won't do a height. That way my height can be as big or as wide as I need to. And I know if it's a web, it's going to be 72 pixels per inch. And I'll go ahead and click on OK. And now as I am cropping, no matter what height I have, the width is going to automatically be resampled to 600 pixels, and then I can pick the height that I like, and then just go ahead and, looks like it said picas in there. Let's change that from picas to pixels. I'll put a PX. Picas would be great if this were font-based, but it's not. It's pixel-based for web. And I'll go ahead in here and I'll crop it. And now I've got an image. In fact, if I change the view to actual pixels, this is something that I could then put in a web page and have it ready to go. Now, you can also use the crop tool for working with rotation and slanted images. In fact, in the CS5 version, they added some great features with straightening, but they've made it even simpler in this version. One option is the straighten button is right here on your crop toolbar options. You click on this, and you draw the line along the horizon. So I'm going to draw my line as the horizon would go, and the longer the line, the better the results are going to be. And automatically it crops it, rotates it for me. Now I can always manually rotate it, and this is again another thing that makes it easier is the fact that when I'm rotating the image and not the bounding box, so it's more intuitive. I still have this check unchecked here, delete crop pixels, so when I press enter and commit it, I'm going to go and zoom in just a little bit here, Control plus. Even though I have cropped it, when I get to my move tool, those pixels are still available and I can actually make some changes. In fact, I could even go back and straighten it a little bit more because I was adjusting that horizon. Press enter and crop it, and now I've got some straight pixels, and now that I've cropped it, I realize maybe I want a little bit more of the top of the trees, a little less of the snow. Position it as I see fit. And we can always come back later and fill up the end, because when you rotate stuff, you're going to be cutting off parts of it, or we just strategically place it, or even do another crop to remove any of the transparent pixels that we might have. You might even use this feature on purpose, so you have an item that is mostly straight, but you decide that you want to make it at a rotated angle. So you can use the straighten, or you can simply rotate it yourself to create an effect. And by doing this, it's actually giving the appearance of a different perspective of where they're looking. I'm going to go ahead and kind of position them here. Press enter, and there's the crop. Now, in addition to the crop tool, which is definitely greatly enhanced, there are a few other features that you can take advantage of when you're trying to cut out part of your image. For one example is you could go into the image menu, you could use the trim command. This is great if you have documents with a lot of white excess pixels and you're just trying to remove some of those pixels. Or perhaps there's some pixels that are similar colors, and it's an easy way to remove those, or transparent background. You can also use the canvas size, and the canvas size allows you to crop out part of that image. For example, you knew that it needed to fit a specific area, let's say 7 by 4, and it's defaulting to inches, but you could always choose your pixels or percent or whatever you needed. I'm going to get a warning because I am removing some of those pixels. I'll go ahead and click on proceed, and those pixels have been cropped and they've been permanently removed. Well, now you've seen the completely re-engineered crop tool and some other features as well that allow you to straighten and resize your images. Now it's time for a pop quiz. What does the crop tool in Photoshop CS6 allow you to do? A. Straighten images. B. Set the pixel size and resolution of a rectangular image area. C. Hide pixels in a non-destructive way. D. All of the above. The answer is D, all of the above. And so what you have are some great tools for cropping your document, and you're able to go in and rotate it, crop it non-destructively, or even use tools like the trim and the canvas size.